I didn't expect to be so passionate every day at this age, and I got married for the first time in my 60s. At that time, I didn't even dream of the day when my heart would be so satisfied. From a young person's point of view, you might think that it's already love. But no matter how many years pass, the heart is always young and looking for excitement. All my friends around me look at me with envy as if they were surprised. Tetsuko, you've been shining brightly lately. When I'm told that I'm so happy that my cheeks get hot. We were both young, and we had a small wedding last year. After a long, lonely life, I didn't expect to meet someone with such a heart-to-heart relationship at the twilight of my life. Every day is like a treasure, a happy day. But recently, that happiness has become even deeper and a little more exciting. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about that secret. Before that, if you're interested in this story even a little bit, I'd appreciate it if you could stop the video, subscribe to the channel, and press the like button. It will be easier to display the real experience of the senior generation that you like and the story that determines your heart. Now please listen to my little embarrassing confession. My name is Aita Itsuko. I was 64 years old last year, and I got married for the first time in my life. My name is Rio. I'm 65 years old. I used to work at the city office. I'm a serious and honest person. I've been working as a librarian at a small local library for 7 years. I've been reading a lot of books, and I've been reading a lot of stories about my life, but I've always felt a little lonely, as if I were somewhere outside the story. I met Rio-san at a kindergarten for beginners that was open to the public in the area. I met Rio-san at a kindergarten for beginners that was open to the public in the area. He also seemed to be interested in me, who was always quietly reading books. He also seemed to be interested in me, who was always quietly reading books. At first, I was very embarrassed and couldn't get close to him. When I decided to get married, my friends around me were really surprised, but at the same time, they blessed me from the bottom of their hearts. Tetsuko-san, you fall in love no matter how old you are. When I was told that I felt a sweet and sour heart like when I was young, which I should have forgotten. The newlyweds' life was a peaceful and fulfilling and happy one. It was their first marriage, so they valued each other's 7-year life, rhythm and pace, and the time they spent together while respecting each other. The time they spent talking about what happened today around dinner, the drive to see the beautiful scenery on a day off. And sometimes, yes, the work of the couple may be different from the fierce passion of their youth. However, it was a warm time full of deep love, compassion, and kindness. When I went out to meet my friends, Tetsuko-san and the others said, "I'm really happy to see you. You look like a newlywed forever." I naturally smiled. Among the friends of the same age, there are few people who talk about their complaints about their husbands who have been with them for many years. But we are different. Every day is a series of new discoveries and gratitude to the other person. In particular, in the so-called drinking party with female friends. They often ask me, "Hey, Tetsuko-san, what about that guy at night?" But I'm interested in it. At first, I was embarrassed and couldn't answer honestly, but recently, I'm a little proud of it. Yeah, well, that's about it. When I answer, everyone looks at me and says, "Yeah." How many times a week at this age, I was surprised. But I don't think it's comparable to others because only the number of couples has their own form of love. But sometimes I honestly think like this. I'm so happy to be satisfied enough as it is, but I wonder if there is a way to love more deeply and satisfy the other person. Rio-san is a really kind person, but there are some things that I'm a little reluctant to say, and sometimes I look anxious to see if I'm really satisfied. At that time, an unexpected event decided to change our relationship a little bit again. It was about half a year after we got married. Our married life was very stable. It was different from the dramatic and passionate love I dreamed of when I was young, but I felt that it was filled with calm and unwavering love. But little by little, the signs of change began to appear in the background of such a calm daily life. One day, I was having tea at a cafe with my old friend Keiko-san. "Hey, Etsuko-san, how is Ryo-san recently? How are you doing in that bed?" I was suddenly asked that, and I was about to blow out the tea I was drinking. "Well, hey, at this age it's okay." When I answered a little vaguely, Keiko-san looked a little lonely, and I sighed deeply, saying, "It's been a long time." At that time, I realized that we were still happier than the couples of the same age in the world. But at the same time, it was also true that I was starting to worry a little about Ryo-san's recent condition. Recently, even when Ryo-san was relaxing in the living room at night, he was worried about his smartphone many times, and when I approached him, he suddenly closed the screen. When I asked him what he was looking at, he said, "Oh no, it's news." Obviously, it's not just that he's hiding something from me. Sometimes, "Etsuko, I wonder if I'm still able to make you happy." He suddenly asked me with an anxious face. "Of course I'm just with you and I'm happy enough, B." I always answer that, but at that time, his eyes seemed to be filled with a color like something was missing. To be honest, the work of the couple was not as frequent as before compared to the beginning of the marriage. I thought it was natural because it was an age-related thing. But it seems that Ryo-san is more concerned about it. And once he was out of breath on the way and had a very sorry face. "It's okay, you. It's like this, I laughed and ignored it, but he had a frustrating look on his face that I couldn't understand. When I heard about my friends, they all seemed to have had the same experience, at most. I can't help it because I'm already old. We laughed at each other. I laughed at myself. But Ryo-san seemed to be unable to accept the resignation. I didn't really care as much as my husband did. I was happy enough with this calm relationship, and I even thought it was a luxury to want more happiness. But men, especially serious people, may have such pride or a sense of responsibility. I think it's enough as it is. No, I want to satisfy my wife more. Ryo-san seems to want to make her happy. Ryo-san and I think of each other, but we started to feel the difference in our feelings. At that time, something a little surprising happened. I was studying the specific content of the original script for the supplement, but I entered the YouTube policy and adjusted it to a more authentic expression. The intention was to maintain the nuance that my husband made some kind of secret effort. It was a Thursday afternoon when nothing strange happened. I was preparing dinner as usual. I was making Ryo-san's favorite sweet and spicy stew. Just at that time, the doorbell rang. When I went out, I saw a small delivery box. I thought I didn't ask for anything in particular, but when I received it, it was blank. Only the name of Ryo-san I met and my husband's name were written on it. I wondered what it was, but it was a package for my husband, so I couldn't open it without permission. So I left it at the corner of the front door. That night, Ryo-san, who came home a little earlier than usual, entered the front door and asked, wondering if he was carrying something today. When I said I put it on the front door, he said, "Oh, I see." He hurried to the front door, took the small package in his hand, and quickly disappeared to his home. I wondered what had arrived. I thought it was a little strange, but at that time I didn't pay much attention and went back to preparing dinner. I surrounded the table and had a quiet conversation as usual. And we were watching the news on the sofa together. Ryo-san said, "Excuse me for a moment." I went into the bathroom and came out for a while, but something was different. Usually after taking a bath, I immediately change into pajamas and come out. But that day, for some reason, he appeared in a slightly rough appearance. So I asked, "Don't you take a bath yet?" He didn't say anything. Sat quietly next to me and suddenly put his hand on my shoulder. "Tetsuko." That voice was a little lower than usual and somehow hot and a little hazy. I was surprised. When I looked up at his face, Ryo-san's eyes were shining strangely. As if he had regained his confidence like when he was young, as if he had regained his brilliance, I asked him, "What's wrong?" Instead of answering, he kissed my lips gently, but deeply. It's been a long time, but maybe it's the first time since we got married. It was such a passionate kiss. He hugged me tightly, and I was surprised at how strong his arms were. It was different from the usual calm and a little hazy. "Rio-san?" I certainly felt something like a youthful energy. While I could hear the voice of the TV newscaster in the distance, he whispered in my ear, "I want to make tonight a special night." I felt like something sleeping in me woke up to the words of his passionate words. When I moved to the bedroom, only the moonlight shining through the window quietly illuminated the two of them. That night, Rio-san was so assertive that he couldn't be compared to usual, as if, yes, he had really rejuvenated about 20 years old. "Rio-san, what happened to you?" When I asked him while holding my breath, he just whispered, "I want to make you happier." That night, Rio-san was as if he didn't know. He was always so energetic that he didn't seem to feel sorry for me. He was as if he was still young, but he was so strong and passionate that he expressed his love for me over and over again. I was also surprised and happy, as if I had returned to my young self. I was enveloped in such a mysterious sense of happiness. The next morning, when I woke up in a pleasant sense of fatigue, Rio-san was already next to me, and I could see him preparing breakfast. "What happened yesterday?" When I asked him, while feeling a little embarrassed, he smiled mischievously and said, "I wonder why. It's a secret. That's all." But I already knew. The small envelope that arrived at the front door, and the fact that the contents of it turned Rio-san into such a wind last night, and a few days later it was Saturday morning. Rio-san was going out with his hobby friends, and I was cleaning the whole house by myself. I was hanging a vacuum cleaner under the bed in the bedroom. Just at that time, something was caught on the tip of the vacuum cleaner. I wondered what it was, and when I stretched out my hand to take it out, it was the empty box of that small envelope that arrived the other day. I took it without thinking. On the side of the box, it was written in small letters, "Active support for the senior generation, natural origin, composition of ingredients, etc." Well, I thought, but when I peered into the box, there was something like a folded instruction manual left to support the confidence and energy of men, and for the irreplaceable time with the person I love. Such a slightly embarrassing catch copy was lined up. I couldn't help but smile. This was the secret to the sudden change of my husband that night. Somehow, it was a little strange, but I was sorry to think that it was for me. At that time, I heard the sound of the door opening, and Mr. Rio came back. I was in a hurry to put the box back under the bed. Just at that moment, I heard a voice saying, "Tetsuko, what are you doing?" When I turned around, Mr. Rio, who had lowered his shopping bag, was standing there with a slightly gloomy face. His gaze was drawn to the empty box in my hand. I could see his face turning red as I looked at it. I said, "I'm sorry. If you were cleaning, this would have fallen, and you would have found it." When I apologized to him, he said with a voice that seemed to disappear, "It's already a good year, but it's pathetic to rely on such a thing." I ran up to him unexpectedly and gently grasped his big hand with both hands. "What are you talking about? I was happy with your feelings." "I don't think it's pathetic at all. Rather, I am the happiest person in the world." Mr. Rio raised his face with a surprised expression. "But it's not like this," I said a little louder to match his words. "I'm glad you thought so deeply about me. You wanted to make me happier, didn't you? That's the best gift for me." When I said that, Ando's expression began to appear on his face, little by little. "I wanted to make you happy. But at this age, I don't have confidence in my own strength." I gently put my index finger on his lips and blurted out, "Mr. Rio, we are not young anymore, so it's okay. There are things that you lose as you get older, but there are also many things that come out. Even if you don't want pork, just being able to be by your side, that's the happiest thing for me. In my words, Mr. Rio looked happy from the bottom of his heart and nodded deeply with a tearful face. But to be honest, I nodded deeply with a slightly embarrassed face like a boy. I'm sure that night was good. Sometimes it may be good to be passionate about such a wind. When I added it in a small voice, he showed a happy expression like a child. After that, we sat on the bed and talked about various things honestly, for the first time in a long time. We shared our anxieties and expectations that we couldn't put into words and our vague anxiety about the lives of the two of us. That's why I'm grateful that we can be together now, and I was able to strongly confirm the sense of security because it was the two of us. From now on, let's spend the rest of our lives together. I just smiled at Mr. Rio's words and nodded many times. Perhaps the small embrace of others may have made our bond deeper and warmer as a result. And sometimes it's okay to have a little support. We were able to laugh at such a wind together. It's been about a month since then. Our lives have regained a calm and comfortable balance. Sometimes there are nights when May's support appears, but other ordinary nights, I feel that the distance between the two of us has grown closer than ever before. Most importantly, we have become able to express our feelings more honestly and honestly. My friend Keiko says, "Etsuko, you've been shining more and more lately. I wonder if something good happened." She says every time we meet. It's a little embarrassing, but it's true that I feel like I'm getting younger and younger. I'm sure there are things that you lose by getting older, but there are also a lot of things you gain. It's wisdom from life experience. The ease of mind you didn't have when you were young, or the value of the time you spend with your loved ones. Rio and I have just begun to walk together on a new and rich path in life. The first marriage life since the 60s. Sometimes with a little secret tool, I want to continue to love each other with a smile while recognizing each other with a smile. I think from the bottom of my heart. I'm sure you're all in love with your partner in your own way. Age may be just a number. The most important thing is the warm feeling of thinking about each other forever. And sometimes a little bit of adventure and courage to change the situation. If my confession, which is a little embarrassing, was able to gently push someone's back who was in the same situation and was a little worried or lost, I wouldn't be so happy. Thank you for listening to the end. What do you value to enrich your relationship with your partner? How do you deal with the changes in your mind and body as you age? I'd love to hear your experiences and thoughts in the comment section. We look forward to hearing your thoughts on this story. If this story touched your heart, even a little bit, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. I'd love to hear from you. Next time I'll be back with a story about love and life. Please look forward to it. See you next time. Thank you for watching.